It is Monday morning. We are live on the Toronto Sports Rush channel, brought to you by the Bet Rivers Network. Before I introduce us, folks, click the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. That's how we grow. My name is Kyle Andrew. I'm joined by Mr. Dan O'Toole. Wow, crazy sports weekend, Dan. Fairs going on in Orono. Lots of things happening. But how are you doing?
I'm great. You know what? Mondays are tough for a lot of people. And I just talked to a buddy and he answered the phone. He's like, hey, and I got chatting and he's like, yeah, I'm glad I talked to someone. So a lot of people think the phone, it weighs 1,000 pounds. It weighs 1,000 pounds. Z, you're in my ear, bud. No problem. They think that it's the thousand pound telephone, um, when it doesn't need to be. So my message on a Monday morning when you're feeling, things ain't going right, pick up the damn phone. That's my message to you, Kyle.
That's just great, actually, because human touch and human compassion is something we're all lacking these days. And, you'd think people watching this channel would be in a really good mood this Monday morning because a local team ish, the Buffalo Bills are our NFL team. Of course they are. They just participated in and won one of the craziest games in NFL history on week one of all things. A team kind of fraught, historically speaking, with not the greatest of outcomes, but Dan, I don't know how much of the game you saw last night, but a lot of the crowd missed it too. I think 20,000 people left before they exhibited one of the best comebacks in NFL history.
I missed the comeback as well because I saw it at the half and I'm like, this isn't the high scoring affair that I predicted. Although I saw the last second field goal to close out the second
Yeah.
quarter, and I will say this as we talked to Todd Furman on Friday. I believe the Bills and Ravens had the highest number for Week 1 in the NFL, and they went way over that over. Um,
Way.
as the Bills with a fourth quarter to remember. And it once again starts the big Buffalo Bills machine where people say, I think this is the year.
Dan, but every team we talk about on this channel has that same thing with the Blue Jays. Maybe this is the year. With the Leafs, I won't even say it. With the Bills, maybe this is the year. And they trotted out Marv Levy, who was the head coach for those four straight Super Bowl losses at the start of the game yesterday. And you can feel it. I mean, Bet Rivers right now has the odds up, and the Buffalo Bills are now the favorite to win the Super Bowl at plus 550. The Baltimore Ravens plus 650. So this is some sort of a conference final preview game. But you're not wrong. People lose their mind after one win in which their team didn't look super great, and they won it off the foot of a guy that came back to the NFL from practicing at a high school in Arizona by taking a red eye flight Thursday night to Buffalo. It's
See, that's a Bill story right there. That's what people love is
yeah,
the grittiness of the Bills.
yeah.
And one game into the season can mean everything to a team, to a fan base. And for your team to start 1-0, that is that is the greatest thing that can happen to an NFL fan because the NFL schedule is so tiny compared to
Yeah.
Major League Baseball, compared to the NHL, compared to the NBA. There are not a lot of opportunities for missteps. So the Bills getting out while the Chiefs stumble in their first game. So Josh Allen, baby, I saw him in a new commercial. He is endorsing a few things, and I found this a strange one, and I would like to know the sales pitch. I believe it probably started with how much they were going to pay him, and it was a sleep aid, like a natural sleep aid that Josh Allen is endorsing in their commercials. So Josh Allen getting paid by Big Sleep.
Okay, so I'll tell you more Josh Allen endorsement stories. I travel a lot and I frequently fly out of Buffalo's airport. When you walk through that airport, it's Josh Allen for this local Ford dealership, Josh Allen for this local law firm. My last time I was in there, he was representing four different companies, and my record over the last couple of years is five. But that said, if you're any of these companies, he is known as one of the guys in all of sports. I would like to see him be the guy that brings glory to the city of Buffalo. And you know what? I'd kind of like to see it this year before they move into the new stadium, just for nostalgia reasons, because there's not a lot of great stadiums left where a man like you or I can go into the bathroom and pit in a horse trough.
I love it. Do they also have, because at the old Commonwealth Stadium before they renovated it in Edmonton, they also had the trough where you wash your hands. And as does happen at big sporting events, people use that as a urinal and not to wash their hands. Do they have that at the Bills Stadium?
Oh, they absolutely do. My last game there was late last season. I was at the Blizzard game against San Francisco. Good seats in the corner of the end zone. And it was exactly, so they've upgraded, like, the concessions and such, like, you can get a more modern slice of pizza or whatever the local pizza place is, their equivalent of pizza, and, it's a pretty hardcore stadium with, like, the metal bench set up and all of that stuff, so that whole facility is gonna be it's right across the parking lot, the new one, but the tailgating there is basically like walking through the set of Mad Max. Things are on fire on the ground. People are jumping through flaming tables, foods you've never seen, dance parties everywhere. Everything you just said is still in existence, and it's a surreal experience. And it's like you can only get in a city like Buffalo.
Did you go to the Bills games when they played them in Toronto?
No, I did not.
It was, well, there's a reason they haven't done it again because Canada, man, if we see other people having fun, we're like, well, that's not going to happen here because they had a tailgate party across the street in one of the parking lots, which is now filled by condos. And it was one of those things where you have to line up and get one ticket, then you have to line up and get your drink. And then
Oh
the
God.
lineups were so long, you're like, well, I guess the entire tailgate is me in a line. And the atmosphere was not great. I don't think they're ever gonna revisit that because of how much fun we sucked out of it.
That's just terrible because what I saw in Buffalo and the tailgate, when's the last time you were at their stadium?
I've never been to a Bills game.
Okay, so basically, it's kind of a very poor one road in, one road out situation. There's one route into the stadium, there's one route out. And all it's a bit of suburbia surrounding it and parking lots and stuff. And it becomes this I want to describe it as lawless, but we didn't see anything really bad happen. Like two fist fights, standard NFL stuff. And it was like controlled chaos as opposed to the chaos that comes from here when you try to over control things. I don't know how to describe the difference for it, but like these people were all maniacs, but it was like a group, a collective. They weren't fighting the San Francisco fans. They were dancing with them in a snow-filled parking lot. It was hilarious. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's you framed it correctly. Controlled chaos. They're like, hey, this is their one day. They're gonna keep it contained. They aren't gonna get out of control. While yes, we tried to just have too much control on things. My buddy one time went to a Bills game, and a lot of people take buses down, and, he calls me after the game. I'm like, "Mikey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I missed my bus." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "And my passport's on it."
Oh God.
So, he was stuck outside the Bills stadium without a passport, trying to find his way back into Canada. He is a salesman. He somehow got back across the border while hopping in with a nice older couple. But, that was the biggest horror story that I heard from anyone going to a Bills game was getting stuck in Buffalo with no passport and no ride.
I have a Bills story. I went to the famous Monday Night Football game against the Cowboys as well many years ago, where they kicked the walk-off field goal.
Mhm.
There, I believe the Cowboys won that. My group of gentlemen, did get into an altercation in the upper deck, and on our way there, we had rented a limo for the 10 of us. It got a flat tire, and when we were outside going full drunk F1 crew changing said tire, the Coors Light Maxim tour bus with all the party people on it pulled alongside to help us out. And we all worked in the nightclub business at the time, and we knew half of them. So that became our party for the rest of the day at the border. Your
Oh, yeah.
friend? It was a great time, but your friend would not get back across the border in today's world under the circumstances. It was a very different time, I think.
No, it was a different time where if you had a license back then, I think you're okay if you have a license.
We got a producer screaming in our ear, but that's okay. We're live and lots of fun things happen. Um, I hope the Bills can pull it out. I mean, we know those convoys of buses stream over the border constantly from Ontario, and that's why we're covering the team here because they are kind of Ontario's NFL team. It's de facto.
They are. You cheer in Canada. Well, actually, no, you don't cheer for the Bills or Seahawks because I have so many And then our producer Z Money, he's a Browns fan. I know
Yeah.
Steelers fans. It's who you grew up kind of watching through a parent or a relative becomes your team. I don't know if Keegan, growing up on the East Coast of Canada, is a Bills fan or not. Keegs, are you a Bills fan?
I'm a man of taste, so I'm a Packers fan. And thankfully, I
Ah!
shook off all of the because growing up in the East Coast, what I hated back then was this was in the era of like, let's say when you had 50 or 60 channels. So on Sunday at the 1 p.m. block, 2 p.m. in the East Coast, you'd probably get 6 NFL games. Five of them would be the Patriots every single time.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
hated the Pats. I hated Tom Brady. So I was a Packers fan growing up. It's been a good week. It's been a good couple days.
Great week.
But I like the Bills because I want people around me to be happy. And I heard you guys talking about Bills in Toronto. The worst football game I've ever been to.
Yeah.
My God. And I'll always remember it. It was Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. I think Russ Wilson was a rookie. And for some reason, I remember the halftime show. This must have been 2012. Remember, what was his name? Psy, Gangnam Style? He was the
Yes.
halftime show. He walked out, lip synced it, boom, done in 3 minutes.
Oh God,
Wildest thing I've ever seen in a dome full of like 9,000 people.
I'd
There has
It
love to know
never
what
been a
that
worse sport
cost.
played.
isn't
Oh,
it crazy, Keegs, how Canada sees something and they're like, "Man, they look like they're having so much fun. Let's make sure they have the opposite experience here."
it was so lame. And I've never underestimated Toronto's ability to make something really lame. But I remember that tailgate event you mentioned, Dan. It was out in the street, and I walk past it every day now. And it was like they were trying to recreate like an American tailgate for a movie with like not enough props or something. It was so bad. It's yeah, we didn't quite steal the Bills from Buffalo like people
No.
thought we would.
Yeah, we
Not
thought
quite.
that was gonna happen.
No.
To both Keegan and Dan, I have a question for you about this weekend's Blue Jays in a very specific event. But Dan, you're going to have to answer this first because on our show on Friday, you had mentioned that your weekend plan on Saturday was the Orono Fair. Completely understandable. It was the talk of all of Southern Ontario.
I did,
But
take Keegan's advice. The
did
fair
you
only
shut the
comes
phone
to
off?
town once a year, so I told anyone that usually texts me about the games, do not say a single thing about the games, including my mother, my buddies. I stayed off social media, didn't know what happened. So I'm like, and I messed up. I messed up. I'm sitting down to watch Jays in 30. It comes on at 9:30. So I'm like, okay. I tune in at 9:29 and I hear Dan Schulman say, well, it's a game where the Jays just couldn't get the right hits and the Yankees win 3-1. And I'm like, I waited all day and I just had it ruined.
But here's my question to you, Dan, and then to Keegan. At the fair, was there any whispers or rumors of the fact that Bo Bichette might have broken both of his legs, his heart, and his spleen sliding into home plate, which he obviously we now know didn't do? But I think most of Canada was collectively holding their breath in that moment before that rain delay. Dan, did you hear any of that at the fair?
No, there was no whispers of the Toronto Blue Jays. There was only talk of the tractor pull and whether we would witness a full pull or not. Boys, have you ever seen a Keegs, have you ever seen a full pull?
I have. My buddies back east were at a poll just last week sending me videos, and it felt like I was being sent videos from another planet. I've become too cityfied, these days. I'm too soft, but man, maybe the cell coverage up at the Orono Fair was not good enough for these updates. I don't know.
Well, I was
Keegan,
bang on. I said with Mike Francesa, I said there
yeah.
would not be a sweep. He said the same. I just got the wrong team winning 2 of 3.
Keegan, what was the mood when the Bichette slide happened where you were? because we had to wait so long to hear anything because of the rain delay, and obviously we now know it's likely going to be okay, but it must have been an interesting few moments.
It was because the way he slid in, watching it live, like full speed live, it looked like his knee had buckled underneath him. Now, when I pulled up a slow motion replay and you watched it, it was pretty clear that he just slid awkwardly and it was more of a collision. Nothing buckled, nothing twisted. But in the moment, man, my mind is going back to like Tony Fernandez with his
Mhm.
break and it all falling apart, right? And real doom and gloom because Bo Bichette's their best player right now. He might be their most important player, even above Vladdy right now. And if that was as bad as it looked, this thing probably falls apart really quickly. But then waiting out that rain delay, which is just a joy to do, and then Bo Bichette bounces right up the steps and he's back on the field fine. And John Schneider didn't have a very robust medical update because he said he's not good with blood. So I guess that's maybe that is actually a very robust medical update. So that really told you all you needed to know. You could tell when Schneider was talking at the microphone, he didn't even want to talk about it. He was like, "Well, not good with blood, so I'm gonna," and neither am I, so I didn't want anything to do with it. But sounds like he got cut up pretty bad, but didn't snap anything, which is man, another stroke of luck.
The Blue Jays playing their final series against the Yankees, and John Schneider left with some parting words. He said it while laughing, and he said it's part of the game. But Schneider saying the Yankees were tipping pitches. Your thoughts on his comments?
Yeah, he said it very casually and kind of lightheartedly almost. And anytime that the fans hear something about picking up tipping pitches, they immediately go, boom, Astros, sign stealing scandal, controversy, drama. There's nothing. It's it was John Schneider being more open than I thought he'd be. Like
Mhm.
he said, he's probably the only one saying it publicly. Yeah, when you get your signs stolen, that's something in baseball that people don't usually admit. They don't usually say, "Hey, they got us. They outsmarted us. They outwitted us." People usually keep that to themselves. But Schneider's pretty open, and he said that's something they need to work on. Then Max Scherzer, had no time for the controversy stuff. He said, "Listen, it's part of the game." I think he
Mhm.
repeated himself about 10 times. Part of the game. Part of the game. Part of the game. And that's how most people look at it now. I feel like even 2 or 3 years ago, guys, the relaying of signs, and for people listening, this is if there's a runner on second base or first base, and if they can tell that the pitcher's about to throw a changeup, sometimes it's obvious. They might be waving their arms like this. Sometimes it's less obvious. Maybe their hand on their left knee means a fastball. Their hand on their right knee means a changeup. If both arms are hanging down, that means a curveball. It's really, really complicated how they do this. But over the past couple of years, everyone just seems to accept it as part of the game. And if you can pick up those signs, cool. It's almost just like a tendency that you're picking up. But anytime that you hear signs stealing, people get their backs up pretty quickly. But I think the Blue Jays, more than anything, were just upset with themselves for letting it happen because the Yankees are good at that. And when you know what pitch is coming, that's what you saw in that Ben Rice at bat, hitting that 3-run home run against Max Scherzer. He clearly knew what was coming for a couple of pitches. He was all over Max Scherzer.
Yeah, and also I think post game Cody Bellinger even admitted and said, "Yeah, that's exactly what was happening. That's what we were doing." So, how big of a deal could this really be if the Yankees are openly admitting it? As Scherzer saying, "Yeah, I've worked on this in the past. I must have done it again," basically. So they're all kind of being cool about it. It doesn't seem like a big issue. But with big issues from this series, do you have any glaring concerns here? I mean, they left four guys in scoring position in each game. Scherzer had one really bad inning, but kind of recovered after that, but didn't go late. Like, what's the real takeaway from this weekend?
This is a weird one. They just didn't have everything at the same time.
Mm.
The bullpen looked a little bit better. They had some good outings from the bullpen. The rotation outside of that big home run from Scherzer looked okay. They just weren't getting the big hit at the right time. And that's what's been missing. When we saw the Blue Jays at their best, I'm talking July in through August. This is when they were 5, 6 games up on everybody. They had all three phases: pitching, defense, offense completely working all the time. And this is a really hard team to beat when they're doing that. It's an especially hard team to beat in a best of five, a best of seven. Not many teams would be able to do it when the Blue Jays are at their best. This weekend in the Bronx, they just didn't have all three. The big hits were not there when they needed them. And that's why I don't really paint it as this tragic implosion By any means, they didn't look terrible. They just looked 5% worse than the Yankees. That's still a dangerous place to be. And 2-game lead, I know they have the tiebreaker, but a 2-game lead is officially in the territory of one bad weekend or one bad series screwing this whole thing up. They need to win this division. The wild card has been so unkind to this team over and over and over. 0-2, 0-2, and 0-2. It's not working. They need the division. They need some breathing room and to skip right past that wild card round.
Keegs, I'm John Schneider. This is what I tell the team. Boys, it's September 8th. We have a 2-game lead atop the AL East. We're done with the Yankees. We don't see them again. We don't need help. We don't need to rely on any other teams. If we want to win the AL East, it's up to us. Let's buckle down, pull up our sleeves or socks, and win this thing. Simple as that. September 8th, if you told us we're going to be atop the AL East by 2 games, we take that every day. So let's do something with it.
I like it. He'd have a few more F bombs.
Yeah, I
That's
kept it
just about
clean.
it.
I was going to drop some F
That's
bombs
just
too.
about it. And that's exactly right, though. I thought this team, let's go back to March, April. I thought this team would be average, and I thought this team would be boring, which is even worse than being average. I thought they were a 500 baseball team. If you had offered the Blue Jays in March, even in April, even in May, even in June, a 2-game lead in the American League East on what, September 8th? Hell yeah. Sign them up. Like, that's as good as it gets. No one predicted this outcome for the Blue Jays. No matter how much people want to rewrite history and sound smart, nobody did. Didn't happen. So they're in full control of this. Go take it. It's right there for the Blue Jays right now. And it's so important to hold off the Astros these next 3 days, too, because the Astros right now have the 3rd best record among those division leaders. If you're in the top 2, you skip past the wild card right to the ALDS, a best of 5. The Blue Jays are so much better built for a best of 5 series. They need to get there. They need to hold that off. And they need to enter with some sense of momentum because they don't suck lately. Like, this is not a terrible free fall, but they're just kind of slowly losing steam, and it's a strange one to witness. They've lost that 5-6 game lead down to 2. They need some momentum again, whether that's a tear from Vladdy, whether that's a complete game shutout from somebody at some point. They need that big correcting win.
This Houston team has been a little bit up and down lately in their own divisional battle, obviously. With 3 games against them now, like what are the keys for them? Like, as you say, this has more of a dual purpose. They're not only trying to keep their own division lead, but they're trying to suppress the Astros a little bit, which would help them down the road as well too. What are the keys to beating this Astro team and trying to grab a sweep here?
I think they get lucky missing their 2 best pitchers and missing Valdez. That's a start. It's a good start. But the Astros, I feel like people grew almost exhausted of how good the Astros were, and they don't get talked about enough. They are one of the last teams I would want to be facing in the postseason if I'm anyone in Major League Baseball. And I love that they brought back Correa. They've kind of got a bit of the band back together. Underrated team. They have Jordan Alvarez, who is one of my favorite players in Major League Baseball. I mean, man, I was covering the Astros a couple years ago in the postseason when he hit that walk off in Houston in the
Mhm.
playoffs. Like, he's a big dog, and he can change games completely and wreck a game. He's back. He's healthy. He's good. So there's star power to be afraid of with the Astros. But the Blue Jays need to get back to the type of game they were playing, which is just kind of suffocating teams. There will be days to play games like the Reds where it's a complete slop show. You need to win 12-9, whatever. But the Blue Jays have gotten away from that brand of baseball they were playing in July and August. We saw it in that Yankees win, the one win they did have on Saturday. But we haven't seen enough of that lately, where all 3 phases are clicking together. And a lot of it's been the offense lately. I think they just need to hit because the defense is always going to be elite. The pitching, I think it's going to be good enough. It's not going to overwhelm people. I think it's going to be good enough. They just need to hit. It's all about the offense right now and getting a little more of that secondary offense, which they've been missing. Ernie Clement's playing with a cracked finger. Tyler Heineman, Miles Straw, some of these younger guys, role players, at least. Addison Barger needing to have a moment. They need a hero out of that group. Can't be all Vladdy, can't be all Bo and George Springer.
We don't need another hero. Here's more reason to despise the Astros. They're back to cheating. Don't know if you saw this yesterday, but
Hey.
one of their players, his bat was confiscated because he
Mhm.
had shaved down a portion of the barrel and
Ooh,
almost made it flat.
damn. I like a nice bat scandal. Because
Yes.
like I felt like I grew up with like the myth of a corked bat
Oh
being
yeah, the
the
bat
ultimate
breaking and everyone trying to find the pieces out on
absolute
the field and
scrambling
the guy
around.
running to get it.
That felt like such like a baseball-y scandal.
Yeah.
Now that we're into, high tech and video reviews and they're stealing this and that doesn't feel baseball-y, but a nice bat scandal, that's old school. I like it.
Yeah, and the torpedo bat thing earlier this year
Yeah.
kind of was a non-starter, but it was for I mean, even the baseball bat bros are doing reviews of that, and it was just kind of
Yeah.
the middling proof of anything really happening there. Was it? I want to go back to something that happened last week and get your take on it, Keegan. I read some talk online. People were concerned with Bieber's last start when he had that one really bad inning. My take on that was actually this is exactly what you want from a guy going into the playoffs because every pitcher is going to have a bad inning. But what he delivered after that bad inning kept the bullpen off the field and kept them fresh in a series. Is that not? I don't understand the negative takeaway from seeing a guy coming back that's had only one bad inning in all three starts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think people are too eager to get upset about things right now with the Blue Jays. And I think a lot of folks have lost sight of the factor of first place team with Shane Bieber, who's probably number one starter. And I loved how he bounced back from that because that inning, yeah, it was bad, bad inning. Everybody's going to have that, especially in the postseason when you're facing
Mhm.
really good lineups every time. But the way he bounced back and kept that game within reach was pretty good, pretty exciting. And I've been so impressed with Bieber, like more than I thought I would be. I thought that he would be kind of finding himself over these first few starts and then get really good the last 2 weeks of the season and kind of steal that number one job. I think he already is the number one here. And to have Bieber in that role is just so important for this team. To have Scherzer there as two is number one. The dog has some opinions on it, of
What's
course.
Rusty barking at? Rusty.
Yeah, the dog wants to have Jose Barrios in that role, maybe, but and it's a bit of a controversial take. I'll give it to her, but I think that having Bieber in that number one role changes everything for this team if they can take over a game.
Um, you probably do you have to go? You have to
Oh no,
look after the dog?
just she's upset that I think the girlfriend went out to run some errands here, so she's stuck with the idiot of the house, which is a tough place to be.
Did you see that Jose Batista did the walkout with
The
Morgan
walkout
Wallen while he
and
was in Toronto, and
and
then
Wallen
Batista's
threw the
wife
bat
got
at
hit by a
Bautista's
bat?
wife.
By the bat.
That that idiot needs to stop throwing things, I think, number 1. But,
Yes.
man, it's not a bad pull for the walkout, though. I think
Mhm.
Jose's in town with a coffee company or something. Jose's a savvy guy. He's always got something that he is advertising or
That Mary
marketing.
Brown's chicken, baby.
If he steps outside of the house, there's a branding deal. If you see him, look at what's written across the front of the hat. It's always some sort of brand. It's something. The man has his irons in 1,000 fires. I love it.
I will give you this. So you mentioned the Orono Fair off the top, Kyle, and if they wanted to do a Morgan Wallen lookalike contest,
Oh,
currently
man.
every country listening person is trying to look like Morgan Wallen. And just at the Orono Fair alone, we would have at least 50 competitors for the Morgan Wallen lookalike contest. It's a
And
look. It is a look they're all
It
it
striving
is.
is.
for.
I was driving out of Toronto. This must have been Thursday or Friday morning when I was driving to the airport to fly to New York for the Yankee series. And 10 a.m. So everyone who drove into the city and wasted their money on hotels to dress up like a cowboy was like getting their Ubers or trying to leave the city. It was a tough scene. It was a really tough scene. All of the people with King Street West addresses who bought cowboy boots for the night were walking home. It was a very very difficult scene. As someone who is from a smaller town place where people are quite country, it was a little tough for me to watch. I kind of had to just hit the gas and get away from them.
Oh, but people watching at its finest.
Oh, the very, very best. People who were it's nice to see some people more hungover than yourself, It just makes puts a little pep back in your step. It makes you think you can get through the day.
The worst hungover person I ever saw after a big event was If you remember on my old network, they had Wendy's Kick for $1 million,
Oh,
and one
wow.
year the guy won it, and I lived downtown at the time, and I'm out walking my dog, and I walked in front of the hotel that we lived across from, and him and his girlfriend were out front, just hung over to the gills, smoking darts, and there's
Oh, no.
and then I think they had just found out that they didn't get the $1 million. It was installments of like $2,000 for the next 50
Oh,
years or
that's
A
tough. To
something.
Bobby
learn that you're
Bonilla
set up for
contract.
financial success
Yeah.
long term, that is tough. I'd wanna buy a jet ski myself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keegan, thank you so much for joining us here this Monday morning. I know you're back with Dan later this week, so we'll let you get out of here for now, but we appreciate you always.
All right, fellas, I appreciate it. Take care. We'll talk soon.
See you Wednesday, Keeg.
Sure.
Dan, before we take off today, we're going to acknowledge something here. Sports lost a legend this weekend. Ken Dryden passed, an incredible legacy away from sports off the field. He wrote one of the greatest books ever about sports.
Yeah, Ken Dryden was an ultimate legend. And I talked to Pierre McGuire on McGuire Mondays, and he called him a Renaissance man. And he told people, look up the definition. And that's a person who is good at a lot of things and not only good at them, but excels at them. He was an author, he was a lawyer, he was a Stanley Cup winner, he was a TV producer and director and writer, and he was a politician. And he did all of them very well. And extremely well liked, extremely humble human, and extremely not elegant, but the way he carried himself. What's the word I'm looking for?
He's graceful to a degree. I mean,
Yeah, I could go with that.
graceful, elegant, all of those. He was a good man. Like if you have a son and you want him to look up to someone, that'd be a good guy to point him towards.
That's
I
right.
think that.
Kenny Dryden and such an integral part of that Summit series.
Mhm.
Man, it was, yeah. And as I said to Pierre, the tribute that they will pay towards Ken Dryden at the Bell Center this year will be phenomenal because there's one thing the Canadians do very well, and that is honoring players.
They really, really do. And even so here in Toronto, he was the president of the Toronto Maple Leafs from 1997 to 2004. He touched a lot of things in the sports world, and he touched a lot of lives, and he will, in fact, be missed.
He will
Uh,
be.
if you if you want to hear more thoughts on that, I'm sure Pierre. I haven't heard the interview yet, but it will be coming out McGuire Monday a little later today, right here on Toronto Sports Rush. But for now, my name is Kyle Andrew, and I am behalf of Mr. Dan O'Toole. We'll see you Wednesday.